Stephen, hi, thanks for taking the time to have a chat with Game On Magazine. Stephen, all good. Stephen, look, I want to jump straight into it. How did you get into yoga? Because from what I understand, it was quite late in life.
Yes, I only started around my 30s, and actually it was through my girlfriend, my wife now, who introduced me. And I must say I was quite skeptical in the beginning, because I was doing sports like running and mountain biking, and I thought, these are like real sports, and now, there's this bit of stretching on the mat that can't be a real form of exercise. But then we went on a longer trip to India together for about 5 weeks, and we stayed at several ashrams and did lots of yoga every day there, and it really hurt. It was very painful actually in the beginning, because I was stretching all these parts of my body, and actually it works on strength as well. And then when I came back, I decided, okay, this was really good, I must find a way to continue this, and then I did.
And what appealed to you? What was the big draw factor to yoga?
First, I guess it was purely physical. You just move through these sequences of postures, and I think probably without knowing it, you get the mental benefits or the relaxing effect or the other benefits, but you don't really realize it in the beginning. So I just felt a bit more space, or you move a little bit freer, or you just feel a bit lighter, let's say, after a yoga session. And I decided, I had a very busy job and a busy traveling schedule, and I was responsible for quite a big company in South Africa. And I decided this is probably what can help me. It's quite portable, so you can do it anywhere you like.
Sure.
And it helps you to both do exercise and have like a relaxing effect.
So who can do yoga?
Absolutely everybody. Any age. I have a 2.5-year-old who does yoga with me. There's the oldest people can do yoga, there's injured people who can do yoga, sick people, kids, absolutely everybody. People who work in offices, sports people, men, women. There's a lot of ideas. You sort of picture that perfect yoga body, and it's probably a female practitioner that people imagine, but it's absolutely for everybody.
You've been quite modest, so I want to talk about what you did with this passion when you found it, because you actually then moved away from the original employment or company you were managing in South Africa, and yoga has become a permanent fixture for you, and you've also started your own company. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, after about 12 years in the corporate world, and lots of traveling and too many emails and board meetings and managing employees, I decided, okay, this is it. I need to do something else. I've always been sort of longing to do something a bit more physical and a bit more oriented towards helping other people, I guess, towards making them feel a bit better. And actually when I quit, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And then I decided, okay, I'll just become a yoga teacher, and I'll just start teaching yoga, actually. So I started Yoga Works about 2 years ago, and yeah, then from one thing came the other. Sort of you start organizing really things that I liked, that I wanted to do myself, without really thinking how would people like this and how many people will come. And then it turned out to be some quite big events and regular practitioners.
Well, I want to get into that because, I mean, there's a misconception about the practice of yoga. So maybe the best question to ask you is, what is Yoga Works doing different in their offering to someone who is looking to get into it, or maybe even someone who has been practicing for many years and would like a different experience?
Yes, I wanted two things actually. I didn't want it to be too elite, sort of limited to yoga studios and gyms, and where you find people who go there, but a lot of people will never be in those places. So I wanted to open the yoga up to lots of different people, and maybe take it to interesting locations, not per se the yoga studio or the gym. And the second thing is, I wanted an element of fun. It's nice to practice regularly and to be like a little bit serious about it. But I think if it's not fun, then people don't really do it, or they don't come back if it's not fun. So I think if it's not, I wanted to bring an element of fun so that people just come and enjoy, they have a fun event, maybe they discover a new place in their city, and in the meantime they get a little bit healthier, a bit stronger in the process.
And we're going to come back to the interesting places that you use, but I want to stay on this point of the conception of yoga amongst, I suppose, the general crowd that maybe perceives it from the outside, or maybe even people who practice yoga. I suppose the way you're approaching it, you must have taken your time to draw the fine line between there's a big spiritual element to it, regardless of how you want to see that element, and then there's also the physical aspect to it, which I suppose might appeal to a larger crowd. Did you find it difficult to draw that line?
Yes, it's not always easy, but I think, as I said in the beginning, you get the mental benefit even if you're not aware of it. And I do try to introduce people in a certain way to it a little bit, in a sort of relaxed environment, just sitting quietly for a moment, or observing your breath, or just having a theme, sort of themes like anything is possible, or we must get out of our comfort zone, that help you to practice this during the poses. And it's all great to practice all these things on your mat, but the big ticket is really when you're stuck in traffic. Are you still having a good posture? Do you breathe properly? Are you nice to drivers around you, for example, or in the office or the home environment? So that's really what yoga is about. It's almost taking what you've learned on your mat into your daily life.
And on a practical level, someone who purely wants to get the physical benefit of it, someone who maybe plays a more mainstream sport like rugby, cricket or golf, would you recommend yoga to sportsmen that play those sports?
Yes, absolutely. I think the physical benefits, that's also how I got into it. And it's amazing to be stretching and to be strengthening lots of muscles that you're not always aware of. The little stabilizing muscles and the sort of strength and stability of your body. And it works a lot on balance as well. So I guess all those elements, flexibility, strength, balance, can help in any sports or even outside this in your daily life.
You take the practice of yoga and you've almost made it bigger and more accessible, and from what I know, you organize big yoga get-togethers, maybe things which are sort of a once-off, or you do it maybe once a month or twice a year, but it's really the locations that you've chosen which are quite interesting. How did you get to this idea, and why do it like that?
Well, I think I'm a foreigner in South Africa, so it's really great for me to experience this amazing weather and a city like Joburg, which is a busy metropolitan city, but it still has a lot of green and open spaces and potential, I would say. And a lot of the spaces that you come across here would be probably super used and commercialized in a place like Europe, where I come from. And it's great to see that these places still open. Even in some of them, not many events have happened in the last sort of time that I can think of. So I really think it's nice to invite people there, discover that part of your city, because it's quite easy to stay in your little neighborhood in wherever it is. Let's say Bryanston as an example, you stay around there and then you go shopping nearby and you go to the gym nearby. And some people never get to a place like Braamfontein or Newtown or the inner city. So that's what I wanted to do, is just add an element of exploring and maybe a different, let's say, dimension to the yoga practice. Like we've been in art galleries, it's amazing to be surrounded by these works of art, or to be on a rooftop with this amazing view over the city of Joburg. So that's what I like. Yes.
So what have you got coming up? What could people look forward to on the Yoga Work schedule?
Actually, the next event is where we'll take hip hop and yoga to Hillbrow. So we're combining two completely different cultures that probably have very little to do with each other, but we're making the yoga fun, and it's just moving to contemporary music. And we're inviting people of the local community to our yoga event as well. Probably people who have never done yoga or who may not have the possibility to try out the class. So a lot of our yoga people who come to the event are sponsoring an extra person to join them in the yoga practice. And we're also organizing a tour of the Ponte City building. I've always been quite inspired by that building.
The Vodacom building, for those who don't know.
Yes, yes. So that round tower,
yes.
Ponte in Hillbrow. So people get a chance to do the yoga and then go on a little tour up to the 52nd floor and get to know more about the history of that place.
And for people may see this after the event has come up, what would be next on the agenda for Yoga Works?
And next one we do every year, well, it's the second time to be honest, but I'd like to do it every year, is the Mandela Day Yoga event. We will gather on Constitution Hill, on the big square, Freedom Square, and we'll do a yoga class, especially in the theme of Madiba and giving back. And this is structured as we hold 27 different poses, so one for each year Mandela spent in jail, and we'll hold this for 67 seconds. So the number of years he spent in selfless service, you could say. And it's quite, well, some poses are quite easy to hold for that amount of time, and some are a little bit challenging.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So last year we had about 150 people, and this year we've chosen the Alexandra Education Fund as a beneficiary of the funds that we raised.
Did you consciously make a decision to be socially aware in terms of where you locate these and who you involve as beneficiaries or participants?
Yes, I think it's quite important for me to not only do something that I like and have fun and hopefully make some income, but also to benefit some other people. And maybe not just those who can obviously afford it and pay for it, to maybe spread it out to whichever local community is there. Yes.
Stephen, it's been fantastic to chat to you, but before I let you go, I mean, where would someone get a hold of you? Where would they get more information on Yoga Works and upcoming events?
I post all of the events on my Facebook page. You can find them there, facebook.com/yogaworkssa in one word. Or I have a website, www.yogaworks.ca. And there's an Instagram page, Stephen Yoga Works, if people want to follow and just see a few pictures. And what we have coming up is also, besides the regular events, Yoga in the Park, is I'm going to start working more and more on retreats. So this month, in May, we're going to the Drakensberg for yoga and hiking retreat. And then what we have coming up later in the year will be another hiking retreat, a yoga and rock climbing, and a yoga and mindfulness retreat.
Well, this is very interesting. I actually want to talk a bit more about this. How would that work? Do people go away for a certain amount of time and there'd be a yoga schedule amongst other things, or?
Yes, it's usually a weekend or maybe a long weekend in some cases. And we do about 4 yoga practices in the 2 a day, you could say. And then I like to combine it with another activity like hiking or rock climbing. So then there'll be specialized instructors who take care of that part, and then we stay in a nice place in nature, just get away from the busy city for a while. Yes.
Stephen, thanks again for chatting to us. It's been great, and all the best with Yoga Works and all the best with your upcoming events.
Thanks a lot.